latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1984 action, drama, martial arts classic, The Karate Kid, starring Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. The list goes on and on. Billy Zabka, if you remember him, Elizabeth Shue. For those of you joining us for the first time, the B Movie Club. It's a book club where each week I will post online what movie we'll be doing, and you can send me your favorite quotes, favorite scenes, anything else you want to get off your chest. Feel free to go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and click the like button. Also go to our page on YouTube, KD9575, and you can reach me at Twitter, also at KD9575. It's my initials and my birthday, so mark that on your calendar if you please. Okay? Don't forget to tell all your friends about us. The more the merrier, I always say. The Karate Kid. In this story, Daniel LaRusso is recently moved to Southern California, specifically somewhere in between Encino and Reseda, California. He has issues making friends, evidently. On the first night, at a bonfire, it's really kind of a roller coaster for poor little Daniel, because 5 minutes after moving into his apartment, makes a new friend, gets invited to the bonfire. While at the bonfire at the beach, he meets a beautiful young lady, Allie, played by Elizabeth Shue. Problem is, she has a boyfriend who's a martial artist. One thing leads to another. He gets his butt kicked. Very quickly, the friend he meets at the apartment bails on him. Whatever potential friendships he has is basically ruined from that point on. He'll have no friends for the rest of the school year, evidently. But for some bizarre reason, Allie still interested. I don't know why. Can you explain it to me? I don't know. So he has that going for him. But again, he's being bullied every day. This is a serious issue by a gang of martial artists, basically day in, day out. The martial artists, led by the ex-boyfriend, Johnny. Okay, there's also Billy, Tommy, Dutch. I don't know if Dutch is his first name, his last name, his nationality. I can't explain it. So he's getting beat up basically day in, day out. These guys are burning a lot of calories to take out Daniel LaRusso. I can't explain it. I don't know what the reasoning is. So one thing leads to another. Daniel LaRusso meets the maintenance man for his apartment, Mr. Miyagi, played by Pat Morita, who is not just a maintenance man. Okay, don't let that fool you. He also has really kind of a palatial estate. Granted, it's next to an oil field, but still, nonetheless, it's a beautiful place. And he's also an expert of karate. Okay, so after some cajoling, Mr. Miyagi defends poor Daniel against the evil Cobra Kai, as they're called, and agrees to teach him karate. They go and talk to the evil head of the Cobra Kai, Kreese, as he's known, and they come up with a deal. It's like your kids won't mess with poor little Daniel until the All Valley karate tournament, okay? So, which is coming up in 6 weeks or something, 2 months. In that time, Miyagi teaches him all about karate, okay? But he doesn't just teach him about karate, he teaches him about life, okay? About life. Balance in karate, but also balance in everything you do. This is important for all of us, I think. I don't want to spoil everything. Okay, I don't want to give it all away. His romance seems to blossom with Sweet Allie. Doesn't make any new friends, sadly, but at least, the karate guys aren't kicking his butt quite so often anymore. So that's something we can all hang our hat on, I guess, right? The Karate Kid was written by the guy who actually went on to do those movies like Taken and The Transporter, those kind of movies, kind of high-action movies. It was directed by a man named John Avildsen, who you might remember also directed Rocky, which is also kind of an underdog story. So there you go. Ralph Macchio had done The Outsiders prior to this, but this really kind of kicked him off to, I want to say bigger and better things, but I guess kicked him off to Karate Kid 2 and Karate Kid 3. Well, that's something, right? He was actually 22 when he made this movie, which is kind of funny because people on set didn't believe he was as old as he said he was. You know what I mean? Everybody else was like 17 and 18. He's like the 22-year-old, but who looks like he's about 15. I guess, there are worse problems to have, right? Elizabeth Shue, this is one of her first movies. Obviously, you know her. She went on to do Adventures in Babysitting. She was nominated for an Academy Award for Leaving Las Vegas many moons later. Her brother, Andrew Shue, who you might remember from Melrose Place, he actually has an uncredited cameo as one of the Cobra Kai guys at the dojo. Pat Morita, Mr. Miyagi, what's funny is he was originally a comedian who was discovered by, of all people, Red Fox, which is why he made kind of appearances on Sanford and Son before finally getting kind of a regular television role as Arnold from Happy Days. No one under 35 has any idea what I'm talking about. But yes, he wasn't some serious actor going into this role, with a martial arts background, not at all. He was a comedian. And initially, they didn't want to even let him read for the role because they had an express no comedians policy. And the studio actually wanted to hire a very respected Japanese actor, Toshiro Mifune, who you might remember from The Seven Samurai. But he was much more kind of a grim Miyagi, and that wasn't what the writer and the director wanted. So they let Pat Morita go ahead and read for it. And he channeled Miyagi from deep inside. It's like if you listen to him being interviewed, he doesn't sound anything like Mr. Miyagi. His Miyagi voice is like this, but he really doesn't talk that way normally. Pat Morita, not from Okinawa, not from Asia. He was born in Sacramento, of all places. So there you go. Believe it or not, no one in this movie, or not really anybody in this movie, had any kind of martial arts training. The only one who did was the guy who played Kreese, Martin Kove. He had martial arts training. Interestingly enough, they say that originally Chuck Norris was offered the role of the evil Kreese in this, and he turned it down because he didn't want, first of all, he didn't want to play a villainous type of role, but he also didn't want, karate instructors portrayed in kind of a villainous light. Later, Chuck Norris came out and said, no, I was never offered the role, but I would have turned it down under those same kind of reasons. So, there you go. Like I said, nobody had martial arts training, although Billy Zabka, Johnny, he actually went on to become a black belt after this movie. It kind of inspired him to get into it. So there you go. Other things I can tell you about this movie. The name Karate Kid, they actually had to pay DC Comics because there was a DC Comics character, one of the Legion of Superheroes, named the Karate Kid. So even though it has nothing to do with that, they liked the title so much, they wanted to take that. So there you go. What else can I tell you about this movie? This movie was such a huge success. Pat Morita actually was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for his role. I mean, I have to tell you, Mr. Miyagi is one of the most beloved characters that I've ever seen on the screen. I've often tried to emulate my life after his teachings, if you will. In fact, my students often call me Mr. Miyagi. No, they don't. Although, I do get Brad Pitt sometimes. No, I don't. Anyway, it did very, very well at the box office, like I said. And they spawned not one sequel, Karate Kid 2, where they go back to Okinawa, and Karate Kid 3, where they're back, and now there's a new guy trying to... There's a lot of fighting going on. And then there was also the next Karate Kid with no Ralph Macchio. Finally, he was about 50 at this point. I was like, I can't be called the Karate Kid anymore. So they had the next Karate Kid with Academy Award winner Hilary Swank as the next Karate Kid. There you go. There was also a short-lived animated series that came out. So there you go. There was also, if memory serves, a remake a couple of years ago, which I will not go into, and as far as I'm concerned, does not truly exist. Okay? So if anybody comes up to you and says, hey, do you like the Karate Kid? You say yes, because the one with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan does not exist. Okay? So there you go. Funny thing that happened. In the big fight scene, the tournament at the end, there's a song called You're the Best. You're the best around. Originally, that song was written for Rocky, actually Rocky 3. It was meant to be the big kind of inspirational song. But it was actually kind of left aside for Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. But if you listen close to that song, there's one little line in there that kind of tips it, kind of gives it away. Because there's a line where he goes, history repeats itself. Which makes a lot of sense if it's a Rocky movie. It's like one of the Rocky sequels. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense for the first Karate Kid movie. Unless we're supposed to think, oh yeah, Johnny has already won this tournament a couple times. Maybe that's what they mean by history repeats itself. No. Sadly, although I have to tell you, looking back on this, there were definitely times I was rooting for Johnny, because Daniel was just kind of whiny, and anyway. Although, in the movie, you see him wearing a Chargers jersey, Wes Chandler's old jersey, so there you go. I have to give props to that. But anyway, in fact, if you can see this, I don't know, this is my Cobra Kai shirt. So there you go. 1984 All Valley Karate Tournament. So there you go. There's a scene in the middle of the movie where they call it the drunk Miyagi scene, where you kind of realize like there's some kind of pathos there, like his wife died in childbirth and he's very sad, and he's talking, and he kind of reveals kind of more to him, another level. And Daniel sounds like digging through his thing, and it's like, oh, you know, here's his Congressional Medal of Honor. Oops, how did I miss that one? Originally, the producers wanted to cut that scene. They thought it slowed down the movie, it was too heavy. But people believe that's really the scene that got Pat Morita nominated for his Academy Award. So there you go. There's always that. I was watching it recently, and the scene where he's doing wax on, wax off, show me sand the deck, show me paint the fence, show me paint the house. It was literally not until halfway through paint the house that Daniel San's like, what? Why are you asking me to do this? I mean, he's a better man than me, because very early on I'd have been like, what's next? Do you want me to show you do the dishes or massage your feet? Why don't I show you kiss my booty? You know what I'm saying, Mr. Miyagi? Didn't happen, as you might imagine. And actually, in retrospect, obviously, we look at that and it made sense because it was like the muscle memory of doing the same action over and over again. You know, so it all makes sense in the end. As you know, it is streaming instantly on Netflix, so if you haven't seen it lately, I highly recommend checking it out. The thing about this movie is, in the past, as you know, we're the B-movie club, I try to pick movies that are obviously kind of B-movies. But occasionally there are movies that aren't exactly B-movies that I still enjoy, but I still try to stick into obvious comedy, horror, action kind of genres. Karate Kid, I was reticent to do it because it's obviously a well-loved movie, and it doesn't fit neatly into one of these categories. And it's really kind of a drama when you think about it. But nonetheless, I'm glad that I did it, and I hope you enjoyed it. It is currently rated 90% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, as we all knew it would. So again, if you haven't seen it, rush out, check it out, and let me know what you think. As you know, you can reach me on our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Also, you can leave me a message on our YouTube page, KD9575. Also on Twitter at KD9575. Next week, I'm going way back. I'm going way back to 1973 to the horror, action, blaxploitation movie, Scream, Blackula Scream. It is streaming instantly on Netflix. I know. It's starring Pam Grier, among other people who you might remember. She was Coffee, she was Foxy Brown. It's obviously horror. It's got some comedy in it. It's such a well-rounded plot, let me tell you. Like I said, it's streaming instantly on Netflix. Check it out. Send me your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, anything else you want to say. Don't forget to spread the word. As you know, every episode I end with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. Either you karate do or you karate no do. Karate guess so